beginning of summer. I know I don't mean the heat that has just come upon us, causing many of us to suffer. This particular gospel passage is heard on Ash Wednesday every year. And it's meant to help us enter into a time of reflection and spiritual practice to help open our hearts more deeply to God's grace. And it just shows that we need to hear this particular passage many times to continue to encourage us to open our hearts. That same openness is what St. Paul is calling upon for the Corinthians, to allow God's gifts and grace to more deeply strengthen their hearts. And from that experience of God's grace, to allow the fruitfulness of God's presence to become abundant. And he talks about that in being a cheerful giver, in that from our experience of God's love and God's presence, the fruitfulness of that is a generosity, a spirit of charity, a spirit of fraternity and loving our neighbors and our brothers and sisters. One of the things that we do as part of our process for Congress is we listen to the recordings of past speakers to kind of get a sense of where we want to go in the future. So I was listening to someone yesterday, and he was talking about a very common thread today in people trying to live without God, trying to say it's not necessary to have God in your life to live a good life. This kind of a movement towards distancing themselves completely from the Lord. And so one of the points there the man was trying to make was that even though they make all these claims about being able to live free from all these Christian categories, ultimately you see these Christian ideas keep coming back in to their life. Ones about loving your neighbor or helping others or being connected still kind of come back, and he said, well, that's the Christian way of life. And the gospel passage reminded me of this other talk that I heard, where it talked about different levels of happiness, that people live to find ways to be happy, don't they? But there are different levels of happiness, and the one that we have described here, where people are doing righteous deeds so that others can see, and you can say, oh, what a wonderful thing you did, or oh, you're fasting, okay, oh, look at you, you're praying with so many wonderful words. There's a type of happiness where we look for that kind of acclamation, we look for that kind of that we're winning. Oh, it's like I'm winning in people's eyes, yay, I'm gaining, But what we're being invited to do through Christ Jesus is to seek out that greatest form of happiness, which is to give of ourselves so that others may be eternally happy. We look at the example and life of Christ, and he gave himself completely to the mission of his Father, that all of us might be eternally happy. That from Jesus was this tremendous spirit of generosity and charity and care flowing from his very being. And he invites us as disciples, not merely to complete any religious practice so that we can look outwardly that we're doing the right thing and we're doing a good job. What we're being asked to do is so clear in these readings today, is to allow the presence of God to inspire within us fruits of generosity and charity that spring forth from God's own being through us, and to seek not passing happiness or joys, but to seek a transcendent happiness, which is to give ourselves so that others may be eternally happy, and to imitate Christ in that manner. And so, sisters and brothers, may we always have the humility to open our hearts to that grace and the courage to live that out in our daily life.